Hello and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's concluding session. My name is Dr. Manisha Puranik, and with immense pleasure, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Mandeep Singh, sir. Dr. Mandeep Singh is a professor and head, Electrical and Instrumentation Engineering Department, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala. Dr. Singh obtained his PhD in telecardiology, Master of Engineering in Computer Science, and Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics, Instrumentation and Control. Dr. Singh is a Bureau of Energy Efficiency BEE certified energy auditor and an impaneled consultant for Perform, Achieve and Trade PAT scheme. Dr. Singh has more than 20 years of teaching experience. His area of interest includes biomedical instrumentation, energy conservation, alternative medicine, and cognition engineering. Dr. Singh handled 2 research projects with Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences, DIPAS, DRDO, related to fatigue detection and wireless monitoring of ambulatory subjects. Sir has various publications to his credit. Dr. Singh is an elected fellow of Institution of Engineers. He is a life member of Instrument Society of India, Indian Society of Technical Education, Indian Science Congress Association, Metrology Society of India, and Society of Energy Engineers and Managers, SEEM. He is also a member of Punjab Licensing Board and Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. He is actively involved in promotion of energy conservation at industrial unit level in collaboration with Progress Harmony for Development PhD Chamber of Commerce, Chandigarh, stress management workshops for middle and senior level executives, promotion of organic farming, stress management workshops for all cadres of Indo-Tibetan Border Police, ITBP, Bridge Amrit, a happy bovine healthy milk. He also works in the upbringing of young children in his workshop Baap Re Baap. Sir is an honorary member for Pepsu Road Transport Corporation. He is an adjunct professor at Eternal University, Baru Sahib, Himachal Pradesh. He is a founder president of Spiritual Scientist Alliance, Senior Vice President, Guru Nanak Dev Mission. He is a trustee, Academy of Sikh Religion and Culture, Master Trainer in Outcome-Based Education. Dear friends, please join me in welcoming Dr. Mandeep Singh Sirji. Now I request Dr. Mandeep Singh Sirji to enlighten us with his thoughts on creativity and reflection in teaching learning process. I request Dr. Mandeep Singh Sirji to deliver his talk on creativity and reflection in teaching learning process. Sirji.
Thank you so much, Manisha, for giving me such a nice introduction, which I think was slightly overstated by you. But anyway, I am thankful to your organization for having invited me to share my thoughts. And primarily, if you say, who am I in professional terms, my answer in single word will be teacher. So if I'm a teacher, then the outcome of any teaching is the learning. So I suppose that the teaching and learning process, it's a one word. You cannot have teaching until or unless it results in learning. And today my entire talk will be based on this teaching learning process. And I'm sorry I cannot turn my video on. You please focus not on my video but on the PPT which I'm projecting on the screen as such. So as I go in for in the teaching learning process, and as I preach, so should I practice. And what I'm going to tell in the teaching learning process normally is that we have to have a proper interaction with the students, with the candidates, with the learners as such. So I don't want my entire talk to become a monologue. So please, I would request Manisha to be my face. She can turn her video on and be my face, and I'll be her voice as such. So with this kind of synergy, I would also request Manisha to keep an eye on the chat box, which I will be anyway be looking at also simultaneously, but I may miss some point. So all the participants are requested that you please pose your questions, you pose your comments, you pose your doubts, you pose your whatever you want, some more clarifications, or even you have some difference. There can be difference of opinion that I'm saying, but I do not disagree. So you have full right to disagree with me, and I will celebrate those kind of differences as well. So please keep on posting something on the chat, and you can also keep on posting. I will keep an eye on, like, I would like to know who is from which place doing what. So please, I request all of you to one by one put on the chat box your name, your organization, your background, so that if at all, I'm not very sure whether you all are from the pharmacy background or some other different backgrounds are there. So you can introduce me through chat, and I already have been introduced very nicely by Dr. Manisha. So we move on further, and just to break the ice, I am posting my hello to everyone in the chat box, so that going on in a parallel mode, I'll be keeping an eye on the text on the chat box, as well as I'll be keep on delivering my lecture, as you may call it. So this is what we are going to go in for in a teaching learning process. And we will start with the creativity part and move on to the reflection. So both creativity and reflection, they go hand in hand. And since these two are the active ingredients in teaching learning process, uh, what I say is that we will be first of all introducing the concept of creativity and the concept of reflection as what they are and how they can be inculcated in the teaching learning process. My slight limitation is that I did not attend the previous lectures which were there in this session, so I do not know exactly what has already been dealt with, or what has already been spoken to, or being shared by the speakers who had shared their thoughts prior to my today's talk, and this is the last one. So since I'm not assuming anything, I'll be starting everything from the scratch. And the disadvantage of that is that you might be going in for some kind of repetition. You might have learned all these things, you might have been practicing this anyway. So I am running this little bit of risk, uh, but I don't want to take anything for granted at this stage of time and miss anything. So on this note, I'm able to see the people on the chat box introducing themselves. They're from IPER, that is Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Wardha, Maharashtra. So I've been to this place. I often cross this place when going to rest of the places by train. When I used to go to Balar Shah and Balarpur, I don't know how far they are from this place, for the energy audits of paper mill over there. Uh, I suppose it's the same Varda, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we move on to the next slide, from where I shall be starting my session. with a simple definition, what is learning? It's very important to know what is learning, because many times if we are not very clear about the concept of the learning itself, as it seems so obvious, but we might be, not very clear what exactly is learning and what's the definition of learning and what we are doing. And the outcome of that has to be learning. We must know what learning is. So to know this, let's go in for the definition of learning, which is the process of acquiring new understanding, knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, attitudes, and preferences. So it's a very big and very comprehensive definition of learning. Primarily, it is the process of acquiring new. It's something new you already don't have. It's acquiring something new. It can be understanding, it can be knowledge, behavior, skill, any new skill or set of skills, value or values, attitudes, and preferences. So somehow, when we go in for the teaching, the way we normally go in for the teaching, the way we keep on talking, we want the students to learn by heart, to write it on the paper, and we give them the grades for that. So that is limited to what we feel over here as is the knowledge part. It's the knowledge part, right? But then when we go in for the practicals in our sessions, then we are perhaps going in for the skills part. So the theory is dealt with in knowledge, and the practicals are teaching us the skills. And these things, they acquire background. Understanding, they go in for, this goes in for a background. The values, they go in for a background, right? As you see, the behaviors, it goes in for a background. The attitudes and preferences, even the preferences, they go in for these things, the understanding part, the behavior part, the values part, right, attitude part, and preferences, they normally take the background. We are mostly focusing on the knowledge part, that the student is able to know something and the student is able to do something. So doing is in the practical part, and the knowing is in the lectures and in the tutorials parts. To some extent we go in for understanding. It's not that we are totally ignoring the understanding part, because we are not directly asking the answers to the questions which we teach in the class directly, but we do thoda ghuma fira ke. It means we give some numericals and give them some case studies and give them some problems, and so that they're able to apply the knowledge. So applying the knowledge is also there. It's able to apply only if they have understood the knowledge properly, so that it can be applied. So the remaining parts normally take a background, and we have very little way to evaluate them. But this is what the learning should be ideally. And as you can see in the figure, this is the most common, I will say, misconception of learning. This picture is not my way of learning, at least. I do not endorse, I do not agree with this portion of the, uh, you know, learning over here, where you have a student and you are filling his mind with so many things. You're filling his mind with the ideas, filling his mind with the concepts, filling his mind with the facts and the figures and so on and so forth. Because again, as if I would be allowed to quote Professor Abdul PJ Kalam, our president, ex-president of the India, perhaps the most worthy of the educationists, I may call it. He says that mind is not a vessel to be filled, but it's a fuel to be ignited. So here, as you see in the picture, we are filling the mind of a student with so many facts and figures, as if it is a vessel to be filled. So this is not my concept, at least. I don't agree with this part of learning, this kind of learning. I may have been doing this kind of learning for teaching learning process. I have been subjected to in my being as a student, or later as a teacher, but this is not my concept as such. So what is my concept then? See, the ability to learn, first of all, it's a clarification that the ability to learn is possessed by humans. even animals learns. We have machine learning these days, and to some extent even plants learn. So what is my concept of learning? The first one, as you see on the figure over here, as such, this is what is known as the traditional form of outside in learning. Something is being poured from outside to the mind of a student. This is outside in learning. But then there is another concept as we go further, and that is the inside out learning. Inside out learning means that we just sow a seed in the mind of the student or the learner, and we nourish it and we protect it and we give lot of sunshine and we give lot of space. The growth happens automatically. The growth happens automatically. We just plant an idea and ask the student to work upon it and to let it grow in the mind. It's an inside out learning. We ask the student to imagine, we ask the student to think, we ask the student to go in for a kind of process where he is able to discover the things by himself or herself. So once it's discovered by the student himself or herself, then the student is able to own that idea. It's something what we call it as organic learning. The previous method, as we had seen, this was building step by step. This was a mechanical learning, and this is the organic learning. This is the natural learning. This is the learning which you call it as inside out. And this kind of learning is always very joyful. So the concept is we should enjoy learning process, and anything which we enjoy, that we would like to do it with full passion and energy. So I suppose I have made myself clear in these first few minutes itself that the concept of learning, it can have different dimensions. It can be approached through different methods. You might be following this method already, or you might be going in for the method which is the traditional one, like filling in more and more of the concepts, giving to the students. So these are the two different ways, and you can always debate. You can always say, oh, this method is better or that method is better, and these kind of debates should be there. That is the process. That is the process. Learning can happen through debate also. Learning can happen through, rather not can happen, learning actually happens in a better way through debate, and actually in a better way through discussion rather than through a monologue, the kind of one I'm having right now. It's more or less of a monologue, because of the technological things. We are able to connect with each other through the digital media, not having face to face thing. But anyway, you can continue to have interaction with me through chat, and you can keep on posing questions to me also, and you can keep on posting your comments to me. Even if you do not agree, you do write, and even if you agree, you can write, okay, I agree with whatsoever you say, so that I can see. Because I cannot see your eyes, I cannot see your face, I cannot see your gestures. If I'm talking to you face to face, in that case I'm standing in front of you, and by your body language I can understand that this person is interested, this person is not interested, or this person is in agreement. So you can actually articulate all your feelings on the chat box. I'm keeping an eye on the chat box right now. So as per my opinion, again, it's my opinion, it's not something which I say that I'm an authority and it should be like that. My opinion is that the organic way of learning is much better than the mechanical way of learning. So I just would like anyone to unmute and make some comment on it, because again, I said that I don't want anything to be a monologue. And I hope you are comfortable with my language, with my speech, with my speed of the speech, or you want me to speak in Hindi, or you want me to speak slowly. Please give me the feedback. Anyone can unmute and give me the feedback. If it's all right, even then you can say it's all right, and I will move further.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Sir, it's going nicely, sir.
Okay.
Your
Okay.
explanation is clear, voice is also clear. It's going
Okay.
absolutely nicely.
Okay. Thank you so much, because This is very important. I suppose in the teaching learning process that I take a feedback on time to time basis so that I can make any correction in case, so that it's not that at the end of the session you say, oh, this was missing and that was missing. Anyway, thank you so much for your encouraging words, and I will move further with the next slide. So as we go in for the learning types, I think you must have gone through this part earlier also in your previous session somewhere, that learning can take place through different methods and every person has a different way to learn. And as a teacher, we have to take care of all of them. If I have, let us say, 50 students in my class, which is a very reasonable kind of figure I'm taking. I'm not taking 200, I'm not taking 10. 50, 60 is normally what we have in one class in the institute which I've been teaching, and I was taught in the same institute. I'm just adding that I did my all three degrees, UG, PG, and PhD from the same institute where I'm teaching. But in between, I have been taking breaks here and there and worked with industry for 7.5 years. And even now, coming back to the institute, to my alma mater, I am a consultant to many of the industries. So I keep a constant in touch with the industries also, so that I know what is being followed in the industry, and I can bring in the experience of the industry, what's happening latest, to the classroom as such. So I am taking care of, let us say, if there are 50 students in the class, there can be different types of learners. There can be learners who learn when they are seeing. There can be learners who can learn when they are doing something. There can be learners who can hear something. Right now you are hearing, right now you are visualizing. These two things you are happening, and I have to take care of both types of learners as such. Some people can learn only when they are under stress. So this stress part is created when we take examinations and quizzes, and going for surprise checks and so on and so forth. So a little bit of stress. This is a good type of stress. We call it. It's called eustress, and there's a bad type of stress which call it as distress. So we have a good type of stress that is called eustress, that is important for learning. Here the student is able to stretch himself, because you say there's a comfort zone, and then you say that there is a stress zone, and in between the comfort zone and the stress zone is the stretch zone. So your students able to stretch, so that stretch is felt. That's called a good kind of stress. So these are the students who actually are able to learn only when you stretch them a little. But then there are other ones who want to learn. They cannot learn in the stress, so they are the best learners when they are in relaxed position. Some people, they always are able to learn when they are scribbling something. So there is nothing wrong in case the student is able to write, or rather has a copy and pencil in his hand. He or she is writing some notes, making some figures, or jotting some points. So that kind of learning is happening not through the ears, not through the eyes, but through their sense of touch. It's called tactile learning. So okay, if someone is comfortable, let him or let her go in for this kind of learning as well. Then there are some people who learn only when it's coming from an authority, that okay, this is the person, he's the head of department, he's my teacher, he's going to evaluate me, he's going to give me the grades, and coming from him, the teacher is saying so, then it must be true, so I have to learn it. So there are some others who learn by teaching. So this is, I think, the best way to learn is by teaching. So we encourage the students to come to the board and share their thoughts. We encourage the students to make groups. We encourage the students to, what we call it as, it's something like peer and share kind of thing. So that kind of thing, you also go in for what we call it as active learning. I'll be discussing in the remaining, in some of the subsequent slides. And there are people who learn by copying, by imitating. So whatever I do, I demonstrate, they're also going to. So I have to take care of all these things. Think, peer, share is one of the active technique you might be already knowing, or I will be just introducing to you in a brief few lines or 1 2 slides over there, what is to be done, what we have been doing, what in the last 3 4 years, as we have gone in for the new kind of learning in our institute, which is now properly endorsed by our institute as such. So these are the type of learners, and first of all you have to identify that there can be different kind of learners, and we give them amply good amount of time and space to all to learn by their own different methods. So as a teacher, it's a big responsibility that we have to take care of all these different types of learners, and we have to mix our teaching with a little bit of ingredients of all, so that everyone is able to get something as per his or her learning technique. So learning, as they say, if it happens in an active manner or passive manner, and the retention, as you see, if you are listening just to the lecture, the retention is only 5%. If you're reading, it's 10%. If you are also having a kind of audio visual like you're having right now, it's to 20% of you will be retained. If I demonstrate it in front of you by some practical method, then it's 30%, and discussion is 50%. That's why I said that discussion and debate is very important part of the teaching learning process. That's why I'm encouraging you all right now also to write something on the chat if you feel like comfortable, or you can again in between, I'll be giving you pause for 2-3 minutes. I'll be pausing my monologue and ask you to say something, speak something on it. So let there be discussion, let there be differences, let there be doubts. Doubts lead to clarity. This is something which is very important. Doubts lead to clarity. If I'm not having any doubt, if I'm not asking, if I'm not discussing my doubts, I will not be clear about the idea will remain fuzzy. And finally, we see that we have to do something. Whatsoever is being taught is done in some manner. So that's why we have practice sessions, and you have practicals, and then you have projects. We also are having the process of what we call it as a capstone project. Capstone project is normally done in the second last semester, and what we do over there is that we ask the students to make some project which is able to, in which they apply at least 5 or 6 different courses they have studied. So whatsoever they've studied in last 5-6 courses, they make something, they make some model, they make some working model or something of that sort, where that knowledge is actually applied. So that's a practice doing. We also have what is called experiential learning. Experiential learning is learning by doing. Again, that's what we keep on doing in between the regular courses as such. And finally, the most easy way and most effective way for retaining whatsoever you have learned is by teaching others. So let the students teach each other. That's what the idea behind think, pair, and share kind of thing, which you're going to go in the next slide. So from now, so all these things I'm just saying are the part of the learning, because ultimately the topic was learning and reflection in teaching learning process. It was creativity and reflection. So I have to start with the learning part, and I'll be moving to the creativity part, and finally to the reflecting part, and then summing up how creativity and reflection, they are going to make our teaching learning process not only effective but even enjoyable. So this is the way as we see in this pyramid, we have to encourage the students to go in for all these different kinds of techniques, and as a teacher we have to practice all these things to the extent possible uh, within the limitations of resources which we have, especially in these lockdown conditions and the online kind of teaching happening. So the concept of as we say, outcome based teaching, as we call it, is that we are shifting from the sage on the stage kind of thing, where you only have one authority speaking, do this, don't do this, this is not this. So that is mechanical type of learning. We are filling the vessel of human mind. From this portion, we are going on to the second one. The second one is guide on the side. So the students, they are doing something, and you be on their side, and you keep a watch on them, and you question them, and you encourage them, and you kind of create a space for them to think by themselves, and give them the protection, give them the assurance that okay, you try, and in case you fail, in case you have some doubts, I will give you the necessary support, but you ask. It's not that I'm just going to speak and speak and speak, and you'll listen and listen and listen, and half of them might be sleeping, as the case is in most of the classes. So the interaction is very important. The interaction of the student with the teacher, and the student knows that, okay, we want to do something, we want to discuss something, and the teacher is here to help us. So this is the guide on the side kind of thing. And I may be allowed to tell you something about what is known as flipped classroom. Flipped classroom is something which you are following these days. I'm following, personally following this these days. Is that that's saying that whatsoever is the traditional way of learning of homework and classwork, it's flipped. Flipped means it's reversed, so that we do classwork at home and homework at class or in class. So classwork at home means that we record the lectures and give them that, okay, now you go through these, or we give them the PPTs, we give them the lecture notes and say that, okay, you go home and do all these things, which normally was done in the class. So once that is done at home, the students are prepared with their lectures and they know what's the facts and the figures are already with them. Then whatsoever used to be given to the students to be done at the homework in the form of assignments, we ask the students to do their assignments in the class. And while they are doing their assignments in the class, we are actually asking them to discuss. It's not something that don't talk to each other kind of thing. Do talk to each other. Don't use the mobiles is not the norm. Do use the mobiles, do interact, do Google, do search, do whatever you feel like. And I'm here, and I will also help you in case you don't know how to Google. I will tell you these are the keywords. You Google it in case you don't know where to find the content, and I will give you the YouTube link. You watch, and in case you are not able to do it independently, do it in the form of a team. So encourage this kind of thing, and I'm here to discuss, and I'm here to help you out and see that everything is done in a proper manner. So this kind of thing is a new thing which probably will not be digested either by the teachers of my age. I am 55 years old. They have developed a kind of mindset and say, अगर यही करना है तो कॉलेज में आने की क्या जरूरत है, अगर पढ़ी लिया तो that kind of stuff should not be there. And as we see over here, the students also have to change their mindsets over here, which are very quickly adapt to the new, rather they will enjoy going in for that. The problem will be with their parents, especially with the parents. So they will say that सब कुछ तो आपको टीचर घर में पढ़ने को देता है, तो टीचर करता क्या है? उनको लगता है that the role of the teacher is like this. But even then, they will be ultimately appreciating that the role of the teacher is not like this. Now we have space, now we have time, now we have an opportunity in the class, and the teacher is going to adopt this role of guide on the side rather than being a sage on the stage kind of thing. So this is a transformation which is going to happen, and that requires lot of creativity, that requires lot of reflection. So we will be going in for these two terms, reflection and creativity, which are to be first of all absorbed and practiced by the teacher. And once the teacher is able to get the understanding of, or the what we call it as the hang of the things, in terms of what is creativity and what is reflection, only then he will be or she will be, when I say here, I mean he or she anyway, I'm trying to be gender neutral, able to transmit this concept and this practice of incorporating creativity and reflection amongst the students, amongst the learners as such. I think again it's time for me to take a 1 minute pause and ask you on the chat box or anyone to unmute and tell me if at all you require any clarification, or it's okay, or whatsoever. That's the kind of interaction I'm going to have right now. Anyone, please? Okay. So I'm getting a comment from Manisha ma'am that it's going great. Okay, well, so I will continue from this point onwards. As I said, the issues with the stage on the stage, sage on the stage kind of learning, which was the traditional learning, is that that requires kind of great deal of effort to be put in to stay awake in the class, because the students are not actually involved and they keep on listening, and even if they doze off, there is no way to check whether they are actually mentally awake or not. So the active kind of learning is what we call it as think, pair, and share. And here I think you can have a lot of discussion on this, and you can tell me whether you are practicing these kind of things. You can keep on typing in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on that. That whether you have, first of all, let me know from you all that have you heard of this concept of think, pair, and share? You can answer in yes or no, because that's my way to interact. Everyone, please answer in yes or no. The question is, are you aware of the process of think, pair, and share? If you know what is think, pair, and share, you write yes. If you don't know, then you write no. Sachin says no. Shagufta Khan says yes. I want everyone to respond. There are 30 participants, 32 participants in all. So no, yes, yes, 3 yes. Sachin says yes. Jyoti Ranjan says yes. Dinesh says yes. Vishali says, okay, the way you are explaining is very interesting and effective. Yes, you know about think, pair, share. Yes. Mohammed Shakir says yes. Virish Pratap says yes. Good. So continue to type something on the chat box. So that will keep you involved, and that will keep me also with the feeling that I'm interacting with the live students, not talking to the screen. All right. Yes. So you all know what is think, pair, and share. So most of you know what is think, pair, and share, with exception of one or two people. So what you do is you ask a question in the class, if it's and then you ask the students to think over that question, and then you make pair of two students each. If you are putting them in roll number one, that roll number one pair ups with roll number two, roll number three pairs up with roll number four, roll number five pairs up with roll number six, and so on and so forth. And then let them discuss, let they think, and then they pair, and then they share. They come to some, let them have a small micro debate, and they come to the answer. Again, the answer can be in any form. And then once they are ready with the answer, let them share it with another group, or let them share it with the rest of the class. So doing this is going to go in for an active involvement. This is called active learning. They're going to think over the problem, they're going to pair, they're going to agree or disagree with their own buddy. I may call them as buddies, and then they share it with the rest of the buddies, or they share it with the class. So that's how it makes them more creative, in the sense that they are becoming articulate, and they are able to think on their own, instead of just getting the things from the teacher. They are able to ignite their mind, put the mind in the working situation, and try to imagine themselves that if this kind of situation occurs, how will I deal with the problem? So that's why, otherwise with the traditional learning, there is a very joke going on in our institute, that says that there are two types of learners. There are two types of students, actually, not even learners. There are two types of students. We have the front benchers and we have the back benchers. This is the joke which goes with the civil engineers. My elder son is a civil engineer. Now, what are the civil engineers in the front bench? The front benchers, civil engineers, are those who build the flyovers, who build the airports and runways, who build the skyscrapers, and who build the and design the tunnels, and who build and design the ceilings, and so on and so forth. So what about the backbenchers? So backbenchers are those students who actually go and inaugurate all these buildings, inaugurate the flyovers, and inaugurate the ceilings. They are actually the one, because backbenchers, they have a different kind of skills. Backbenchers, they don't keep on filling their mind with whatsoever is being taught in the traditional manner. So they are able to somehow pair up with the people. They are able to go in for the last moment preparation, and copy the assignments, and do something, as you might have seen in 5 point some a book which was written, which was later converted into a movie by the name Three Idiots. So those three are always, backbenchers doing something non-serious as such from the academic point of view. So the idea is to avoid this kind of categorization of front benchers and the back benchers. And how that can be done, we don't let them sit like that. We let them sit in groups. We let them sit and talk and chat and discuss and do the kind of things which are totally creative. This is what we're going to go in for. So if you say that, okay, but there is no time for that, so we go in for flipped kind of classrooms where we give them the lecture contents which they can study or in the form of videos or whatsoever at their homes, and in the classroom they actually have a kind of interaction with the rest of the students in the presence of the teacher, and the teacher has to play the role of mentoring over there. So this is something tough for the teacher who is not actually trained in a manner to go in for these kind of things and handling these kind of things. And that's why we have upgradations the way we are having right now. This session, for example, or this entire workshop is to upgrade your skills and to go in for learning the new kind of techniques which are actually more effective, as we have seen as on the day. So coming back to the point of creativity, so all these new concepts, they should be implemented, and that requires that the teacher as well as the student has to be creative in the sense, and in the sense that creative means doing something new which is meaningful. This is an interaction. It's an you see, we call it Venn diagram. Something new. This is something new, and just something new is not creative. It has to be meaningful, and doing the things meaningful in the old manner, the continued manner, without introducing anything new to it, is not creative. Creativity is when you have something new and something meaningful. Just not new for the sake of being new. It has to be meaningful also. Then it is something creative. So this creativity, this idea of creativity has to be there in the mind of the teacher. It has to be there in the mind of learner as well. It has to be a two-way process. It cannot be just one-way traffic that, okay, I want the students to be creative without myself being creative, or I just want myself to be creative and I don't encourage the students to be creative. So we have to encourage the students to be creative only when I am creative, when I'm trying something new, when I'm trying to build something, some new technology, some new technique, some new method, some new way to present the things. If as a teacher I have to be creative, it has to be new and meaningful, and that requires, it's a skill which needs to be learned. It's a skill which can be taught like many other skills, and this is the kind of skill which is a soft skill as such. It's a common skill. It can be taught to students of any subjects, irrespective that I'm talking to a person with a background of uh, pharmacy or engineering or any kind of engineering or medicine or whatsoever, even law. We have to be creative. So let's go in for one by one the steps to know about what is exactly creativity and how can we bring about creativity in our daily life in whatsoever practice we are having. So we start with the product or service which is creative when, number one, it is novel, new, and number two, when it is appropriate, means meaningful, right? Not going in for the kind of creative which we normally think that we go in for an abstract art where we go on drawing some teda meda kind of figures and say, oh wow, it's very creative. Is it meaningful? I mean, you go in for a kind of design of the specs which is very odd looking, and we say it's very creative. Is it going to serve any purpose? Is it more comfortable? Is it more aesthetic, good looking? And just going in for something new and not being appropriate and not being meaningful is not creative. So creativity is, these are the two major things which we have to go in for. The product or service or practice or whatsoever you're doing has to be novel and it has to be appropriate. When both the conditions are fulfilled, only then we say the product is creative or the person is creative or the service is creative. So this is the definition. Again, It has to be both novel and useful. We have to evaluate this. And it's very difficult to define creativity. It's very difficult to standardize or measure creativity. That is, of course, there. We have to be creative enough to measure creativity, or apply new techniques and new methods to see whether it's actually creative or not. So you can have a lot of discussions on this. You can say, oh, this is creative, this is not creative. There can be some gray shades. It is creative only if blah, 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 blah. This condition is fulfilled. And we can have discussions on that. And these kind of discussions, when we go in for, they should be encouraged in the face-to-face classroom. So people do have ideas. They have new ideas. They say it's a very creative mind. But what actually happens is that they have ideas, they speak the ideas, but they don't actually act on them because they're not acting on them. So saying the idea but not acting on them, we say you are imaginative. You are not creative. You have an idea, but you don't act on them, then you are imaginative. You are creative only if you have idea, but you do act on these ideas also. So just speaking and speaking and thinking and imagining and imagining the things is not creativity until or unless you act on these things. As a matter of fact, even speaking your ideas is also acting on it. But just imagining and things remains in your head and nothing comes out, not even in the form of words, then you are not creative. It has to come out in the form of words at least, but better these words be converted into the plans and the plans be executed, and something should come out in the form of product or service or change. Primarily, being creative means you have to bring about some change, and that's you have to go in for. And we will later in the session we will talk something about the difference between creativity and innovation, because normally people think that creativity and innovation, they go hand in hand. Yes, answer is yes. They are synonyms. No, they are not synonyms. There is a slight difference between creativity and innovation, but right now you can assume that creativity and innovation is one thing. There is a slight difference, although I will talk about this difference a bit later. So creativity is that you have to do a kind of act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. You have to turn it into reality, and that requires a lot of passion, that requires something new to be brought, and that requires a lot of commitment as well. So all these three things are there as a part of the creativity. So once you say that I will be creative in my profession, I will be creative as a student, I will be creative as a teacher, I'll be creative as a scientist. Scientist has to be creative. Scientist has to be creative, because without creativity, without bringing in something new and meaningful, his research is of no use. His paper will not get published. He will not get a patent. He will not be able to get something new out of it. He will not be able to give any consultancy to the industry and so on and so forth, or complete any project, because there is no scope for reinventing the wheel in science. So creativity is must in science and technology as such. So this part of creativity is very, very clear to us. What is creativity? Now, we say that creativity traits is needed in an entrepreneur, and these are the days of startups. You have startups, you have people who go in for a startup, they get the seed money, then they get series A money, series B money, series C money, and so on and so forth. uh, it requires as an entrepreneur that you first of all see that the problems are interesting and acceptable. You see a problem, that problem should not be seen as a headache. That problem should be seen as a challenge. And once you start seeing problem as a challenge, then it becomes adventure. Then the same problem which was like a headache to you or headache to me, it becomes interesting and acceptable. So these hurdles which we see, they are leading to the improvements and to the solutions. Until or unless you don't have any hurdles, you will not be able to improve anything or get the solution. That's what I said, that doubts, for example, doubts lead to clarity. Only when you have doubts and you're aware of the doubts and you discuss the doubts and then you work upon the doubts, your concepts become clearer. And finally, as I said, that the problems should be viewed as challenges that offer an opportunity to innovate. I will work upon this idea of innovation a bit later. So instead of saying problem of the week, we say it's a challenge of the week. Whatsoever is the numerical given to the students, you don't write it as a problem, give them as a challenge, because as I told you, that problem is normally taken as a headache and challenge is a kind of adventure. And the difference is in attitude, that yes, it's something I have to do it with joy, with a passion in my mind. How this attitude of seeing a problem as a challenge can be built, you have to be always aware of these small things, that I have a problem, I have to solve it, I have my own logic, I have my own way of doing the things in right way. I take a detour. Detour means I change the path. I stop thinking in sensible manner. I stop thinking in logical manner. I stop thinking in the way I am trained to think. I stop thinking in the way which I have been told, or I have been convinced that this is the way to solve the things. Because if I go on moving on the same path, I will not be able to discover the new path. The best way to discover the new path is to leave the path which I am following. गुमराह तो वो है जो घर से निकले ही नहीं, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी, थोड़ा भटक कर ही सही, गुमराह तो वो हैं जो घर से निकले ही नहीं. इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी, राइट? सो थोड़ा भटको, आई मीन इधर उधर, ट्राई टू go around the things other than the defined part. So not everything has to make sense right away. Do something new, do something weird, do something different, do something out of the box, as we call it. And then whether I'm, going to do this will work or not, be positive. Take courage, be positive and give some self encouragement. And as a teacher, if some student is doing something which is not done in a traditional manner, as a teacher you have to encourage, okay, your answer is not correct, but you have taken the courage to differ from, to go in for something which is not right written in the textbook or being taught to you directly. And finally, use non logical thinking. कुछ नया, कुछ अजीब अजीब करो, कुछ अजीब करो. That is what is said, non-logical thinking. So no one better than a teacher to encourage these kind of things, to build this kind of attitude where you can actually see the problem as a challenge, and then not only see it as a challenge, but to solve it, to accept it, and to work as an adventurer to go and win over it. One of the ways we go in for getting these kind of ideas which are out of the box, as we call it, is the process of brainstorming. And as a teacher, I have to encourage my students to go in for this brainstorming process. And what we do in brainstorming, again, different ways are there for brainstorming. We ask the students to move around in a manner that each will be speaking in some sequence, and they'll be adding something. No one is going to comment on no he's right, no he's wrong. कुछ भी दूसरे के बारे में कमेंट नहीं करना है. Add something new, give a problem, either you can say pass, or you can add something which may look slightly foolish, but then you don't have to be afraid of being looked upon as a fool, because ideas come up which are normally taken by others that, oh, this is very foolish idea, because anything new can be foolish to others, and until or unless it's not foolish to others, it cannot be creative. So the first thing is that there is no such thing as frivolous idea. Frivolous means not having any purpose or serious. Oh, what you're saying is not serious. Do speak something in the brainstorming. That's how you're going to come up with something new, and don't worry about looking foolish. That, okay, what my people will say, what my students, my peers, my colleagues will say, what my teacher will say. As a teacher, you have to encourage students to come up with the new ideas. So this is one of the ways of getting it. Even in science, it said that the best exciting phrase in the science is not eureka, but it's funny. कुछ अजीब है यार, ये तो कुछ अजीब सी चीज हो रही है, ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? It's something funny. ऐसा तो नहीं होना चाहिए था. And उसी के ऊपर सोचते सोचते something new is discovered. उसी को सोचते, I expected only 1 point to come out there, but यहाँ पे 3 पॉइंट आ रहे हैं. ये 3 पॉइंट कैसे आ गए? ये 3 पॉइंट कैसे आ गए? ये तो एक आना चाहिए था पॉइंट. यहाँ पे मैंने एक्सरे फिल्म रखी थी, नीचे मैंने रेडियो एक्टिव मटीरियल रखा था, इसमें से तो एक ही पॉइंट आना चाहिए था, 3 क्यों आ गए? Oh, now I get it finally. Mary Curie found that alpha particles, beta particles, gamma particles coming over here, right by, and so on and so forth. कुछ अजीब सा हो रहा है, तो it's funny. So something new will come out only when you are able to find something funny, you're able to do something funny. That's what is known as out of the box thinking. So let me come to the conclusion with some practical examples. The best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. Don't tell you what to see. We are not going to build the blocks mechanically, but give them some space. Give me some sunshine. Give me some rain. Give me another chance. I want to grow up again. This is what is one of my favorite songs in again from one of my favorite movie, Three Idiots. आपने सबने सुनी होगी, देखी होगी. And we don't, as a teacher, tell them that this is to be seen. Just give them the direction and let them see, let them discover, let them form their own opinions. Let them, because it's the next generation. Their opinion has to be definitely better. Their processing of the brains is faster and better than ours. Jैसे 3G, 4G, 5G, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation. This is the next generation. It's better equipped than what we are, and that's how the things are going to improve. We give them some space. We don't fill them with the ideas which are already there. We ask them to explore. We ask them to challenge. We ask them to ask questions as such that मैं नहीं मानता, मैं खुद करके देखूंगा. ऐसा क्यों नहीं हो सकता? ऐसा भी तो हो सकता है, kind of stuff. So before we go in for difference between creativity and innovation, again, I would like to have some feedback. Anyone, please unmute. I actually want someone to unmute, some new person to unmute and say something, good or bad or neutral, whatsoever, but do say something. Hello. Are you online?
Yes, sir.
So all is well?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I once again keep on requesting the participants to chat something, keep on typing on the chat. It's going fine, it's not going fine, you are fast, I cannot understand your English, whatsoever. Please speak in Hindi. कुछ बोलो, कुछ लिखो. Okay, it's very informative. Thank you. Keep on writing. I encourage all the participants to please write something on the chat box and be involved. Be involved. So we are in the third phase. We are in the third phase of a lecture. We are going to study with the creativity versus innovation. The first phase was what is learning. The second phase was what is creativity. And the third phase is creativity versus innovative. So one comment is coming that creative persons will be more innovative. Yes, definitely they will be. But there's a slight difference between creativity and innovation. And what is that? The difference is that if we want to see something as an innovation, then in that case, the difference between creativity and innovation is focus. It's focus. What is the focus in case of creativity? Creativity is about unleashing the potential of mind to conceive new ideas. The focus is on the new ideas and they are limited to the ideas, right? And you want to put them into work. But once you start putting them into work, there are problems. There are lots and lots of problems. And the focus is now on these problems. You see those problems of implementing the new idea. so that they can actually introduce the change in you, and they can result into a relatively stable system. And once you are able to introduce the change, it has to be a positive change for something better. So if you are able to actually get into the practical change to bring about some relatively stable systems, then you say you are an innovator. So it means that you have an idea, you work upon the idea to make that idea viable, then you say it's an innovation. Creativity is something, it's in your mind, it's subjective, it's slightly hard to measure. But innovation is something which is totally measurable. You see, as an innovation is implemented, something concrete happens, and that is seen as such. So we have something, some unmet need is there, some innovation is to be applied, and its source is creativity, but its outcome is innovation. So you can see, definitely a person who's creative has person has to be creative to be innovative. But then you should not stop at being creative only. You have to bring the positive results in the system finally. कुछ होना चाहिए. So often the organizations, they chase creativity, but they have to see that ultimately it should not stop over there. It should go in for the innovation, the action producing sense, putting the ideas to work. So creativity is the beginning, and final outcome is innovation. That's what we say, that ultimately it's the creativity is the price of admission. You start with that, but it's innovation that pays the bills. Ultimately, the results which they are reflected in terms of innovation. There's a slight difference between creativity and innovation. So the one part is there, the first phase is called the creativity and the second phase is called innovation. So without creativity, innovation is not possible. Absolutely true. But without innovation, creativity is of no use. You just keep on having creative ideas and creative things, and you start being creative, and you don't actually are able to bring out the change which is positive. At some place you fall down, you go back without coming to the final outcome, then it's not resulting in an innovation. It's of not much use to you us as such. So an example of innovation is that once upon a time there was a packing line over here, as you can see, and these are the packets which are moving on the conveyor belt, and they're containing some equipment. It was some electronic equipment over here, and these packets were counted at the end, and a batch of 24 was exported overseas. So while packing, once in, let us say, 50 or 100 packs, this package used to be an empty package. This package used to be an empty package. So how to detect that this empty package doesn't go to the cargo and ultimately is shipped? Where when they open it, they find that, okay, out of 23, this one is empty. Out of 200, two packs are empty. It's very embarrassing for them to have this kind of empty package over here. So then how to eliminate this package? It was something which was deliberated by different people, and brainstorming was done, and people came up with some creative ideas, and they try to implement it. And so many things. You have to see the cost, you have to evaluate, and so on and so forth. So one of the idea was that this package is box is sealed, we cannot open and have a visual look at it. So let's put some x-ray machine over here. So beam of x-ray is coming from here, and the beam of x-ray will pass over here, and there'll be x-ray detector over here. So as long as there is something, this x-ray is able to, this beam detector is able to see that the x-ray coming over here is of lesser intensity, it means there is something in it. And if the entire box is hollow, then the intensity of the beam over here will be slightly more powerful, and that is able to get that moment of point, the entire belt will be stopped, and this will be removed physically, and the belt will be turned on, and then it's going to detect the next one, going to detect the next one, going to detect the next one. So this is the kind of idea which was mutually agreed by, okay, this is one way we do. We put an X-ray source over here, we put an X-ray detector over here, and we connect the output of that with the motor of the belt. And then someone said that, okay, why not just put a pneumatic arm over here? Let's put a robotic arm, and the moment belt is stopped, the robotic arm is going to push this box over here, so that you don't have to physically, you don't have to employ one person to stop to remove the box physically. So that was second innovation which was brought in. The first was to detect, and second was to remove it automatically. And okay, this was appreciated. Then the cost was taken. This cost comes out to be in few lakh rupees. A few lakh rupees means, okay, you have to put an X-ray machine over here, and a detector over here, and a pneumatic arm, a robotic arm over here, and everything has to be coupled with the motion of the belt, and so on and so forth. Good amount of controls, good amount of automation is required over here. So all those things were being discussed. And then a person named Santa Singh, as it traditionally goes, the name Santa Singh says that, why are you spending lakhs of rupees? I have an idea. And that idea costs 2,400 rupees. He said, how can you be so precise about 2,400 rupees getting you this idea? How I mean, it sounds funny that what we are trying to do is something logical, some engineering solution is there, some you must be crazy. What are you going to do to remove these empty boxes? He said, I'm going to put one फराटा फैन, यू अंडरस्टैंड? फराटा फैन, फैन बहुत तेजी से चलता है रात को हवा हुआ देने के लिए. शादी वादी पे भी आपने देखा होगा, कैन बहुत से पंडाल में बहुत बड़ा सा पंखा लगा देते हैं, स्टैंडिंग ऑन अ पेडेस्टल, बहुत तेज हवा देता है वो. So that is called farata fan in Punjab. I don't know what you call it. Have you seen it or not? बहुत तेज वाला पंखा होता है, 2500-2400 रुपए का मिल जाता है आराम से commercially. So you put a farata fan over here, and all those boxes which are full, they will continue to pass. जो खाली वाला होगा, the empty box, that will just fly away with the force of the wind which is getting over there. So this is something we call it as, this is something creative. ऐसा तो हमने कभी सोचा ही नहीं था, ऐसा तो कभी हमने पहले हमारे दिमाग में नहीं आया. So this is what we call it as jugaad. I don't know whether you have been doing jugaads at your place or not. So students do involve themselves in number of jugaadu methods, and even teachers apply some jugaad to fulfill their needs as such. So this kind of jugaad technology, as even Sam Petroda has written a foreword and to a very good book by the name Jugaad Technology. It's a hardbound book as such. This is coming as it's being accepted internationally. This word jugaad is an Indian word, perhaps a Punjabi word. It's all started with jukti. Jukti se Punjabi mein bolna shuru kar diya, jugaad. And jugaad se from Punjab, maybe up to your place, you are aware of this or not. So this is about the innovation, this is about creativity. And yes, Yogita is telling me this is best example of jugaad. So yes, I agree that creativity and innovation are two faces of the same coin, but the only thing is that we start with being creative and we end ultimately being innovation, and both are incomplete without each other. So I again take 1 minute pause, and I'm welcoming the comments on the chat box. Yes, we are aware about jugaad. All right, good, nice. So coming to the third part of our session, as we are moving towards the end of it, what is reflection? What is reflection? The topic is as Mandy, because I'm more known as Mandy sir rather than Dr. Mandeep Singh. That's what I'm very informal and friendly with my students as such right from the beginning. So what is reflection? I think you go through this uh,
Please stay out of this.
you go through this, we call it as a flow chart.
बॉक्स में देखो क्या लगा है.
वो जुगाड़ पूछे ना, जुगाड़ था ना टॉपिक.
You go through this flow chart, and to begin with, we should know what we teach. We know what we teach. And then we also evaluate what they learn. There has to be a proper 1:1 connection. Are they learning what we're teaching? Or what we are teaching, they are actually learning or not? Is there a match? If there is a match, well, all is well. But in case there is no match, in case there's a mismatch, they are learning only half what we are teaching, they're learning only 80% what we are teaching, the 20% is the mismatch, then as a teacher I have to reflect upon. Reflect means looking back. Reflection means looking back. As we have a back view mirror in our car, we have to reflect, we have to improve, we have to innovate. So reflection means that we have to see in this process that whatsoever we are teaching, are they learning? Whatsoever we are doing, is it being accomplished in journal, in life? Whatsoever was the aim, whatsoever the target, actually I'm meeting the targets or not? If it's met with, well, otherwise I have to think over, I have to think back and see and improve and innovate so that this target is met with. So this process in journal is what we call it as reflection. And this reflection invariably is linked with the improvement part, which again we have to be innovative and creative to go in for. So this is how the reflection goes in the teaching learning process, along with being creative, along with being innovative. So as such, perhaps when Dr. Manisha was telling you about my introduction, she mentioned one thing which I'm very proud of, being a founder, president of Spiritual Scientist Alliance in our institute. So I consider spirituality as a science, and I can speak on and on and on the different aspects of spirituality, and how to go in for meditation, and what is meditation, and what is not meditation, and so on and so forth. And my open offer to all the participants, that they can anytime contact me to conduct a session on Zoom on spiritual science and on meditations and so on and so forth. Anytime means, of course, mutually convenient time when I'm free and when you are free. And there are absolutely no obligations. There are absolutely no, I don't have any fixed charges that I'll have to go or going for any kind of obligation. इस सेवा भाव से मैं कई सालों से कर रहा हूँ. तो being meditative and being reflective are slightly different things. Being meditative is you are totally focused in the present. Being meditative means you are totally focused in the present moment. And being reflective means you go back, you go in the past, you reflect. Reflect means going back in the past, and you think, oh, this happened, I did like that, it resulted into this. Had I done it in a different way, then I would have got better results. Where did I err? क्या करना चाहिए था मेरे को, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए था? So this is being in a reflection. So being meditative has its own advantages. I'm not saying not go in for meditation. Being reflective has its own advantages, and excess of anything is bad, as we say that. So this is the portion of reflection. Many people think that reflection is being meditative. No, it is not. So this is the difference. Just the way there's a slight difference between creativity and innovation, there is good amount of difference between being reflective and being meditative as such. So how we make the students reflect upon what they have learned is to make them go in for a role playing. Role playing means that if you're teaching medicine, if you're teaching pharmacy, if you're teaching anything, you actually ask them to think, to reflect, to imagine, to see them in a role and connect with whatsoever they have learned so far in the role which shall be played by them in the future. So once this connection is established, they will find the learning process more meaningful. They will find the learning process more joyful. So they will actually be putting their passion to this learning process. उनको पता चलेगा that whatsoever they're doing is not just waste of time. It's not just done for the sake of getting grades और pass होके काम तो मैंने कनाडा ही जाना है, वहां पे जाके मैंने स्टोर में काम करना है, तो डिग्री ले रहा हूँ, मेरे खाली वो बैंड मेरा आ जाए और मेरे पॉइंट्स बन जाए. That's a session. They will not enjoy learning. So उनको एक एहसास होना चाहिए that whatsoever you are learning, actually they will be practicing in 2-3 years, 5 years down the lane. So they have to be very, very clear about the fundamentals, about the concepts, about the skills, about the attitude, about the behavior. वो जो learning के पूरी definition में पड़ी है, everything should be very clear to them once they start going for a role playing. So that happens through reflection. That happens through the way they are going to think over it. So a lot of literature is available. You can go in for further teaching on as a teacher, be very clear about who am I teaching, what am I teaching, how will I teach it, and how will I know if the students understand. These are the 4 basic questions any teacher should ask so that to make his or her teaching more effective. Finally, this is something again which I value as the most, that once I go in for the teaching process, there are 3 things to be accomplished. There are 3 things to be accomplished. And these 3 things, they start with, as you can see over here, I'll put my laser on, right understanding, the relationship, and the creation of facilities. This is the role of any teaching institute. This is the role of any university. This is the role of any organization involved with this teaching learning process, including your institute and my institute, and including you as a teacher and me as a teacher. That any person who comes in as a student and by the time he goes out as a graduate,
अरे वो जब conclude होगी ना
please mute yourself. Please mute yourself, everyone. Right? So these are the 3 things which I say are most important to all the teaching learning process. Unfortunately, as I see that I don't want to give any figure, 90% or 98% or 99.9% of the time, most of the institutions, most of the curriculum design, most of the things, they are specifically, because I'm from the engineering background, they are focused on creation of facility. As an engineer, for example, I don't know much about your profession. We are mostly concerned about creation of facilities. Whatsoever we are doing, we're able to do it in a better manner, right? Create a facility. For example, mobile, it's a facility. I want to talk and at the same time I want to walk. So I want something mobile in my hand. It's a facility, right? If I want a car, it's a facility. I want to run a car, it's a facility for me. I want to have a house for myself, a good roti kapda and makan kind of thing. It's a facility for me. So most of the times, how to please mute. This is the last slide. Please mute yourself. So it's all about creation of facility, but somehow we fail to create the right kind of understanding while we are focusing on creation of the facility. The right kind of understanding is how and to what extent these facilities should be used. ये बहुत जरूरी है, the right kind of understanding. And we have to have a good amount of focus on the relationships. The relationship of one man with another man, relationship of one person with the environment, relationship of one kind of facility which you have created with us. That's a kind of relationship that has to be given a due importance, and that the first preference should be given to the right understanding, the second preference should be given to the relationship, and the third should be given to the creation of facilities. This is a kind of right understanding. This is a kind of right understanding. You go on creating facilities, you go on creating more and more things without understanding the impact of this on our life in long term is what is going to create lots and lots of troubles for us, lots and lots. And that's what you're facing, because our education system is not exactly tuned to give due weightage to the relationships, to the weightage to the right kind of understanding. And I will end my speech in another 2 minutes by giving you the difference between knowledge and understanding. Knowledge and understanding, we are all focusing on knowledge, and knowledge is also about creation of the facilities. You want more, you want better, you want more comfortable, you want speedier, and you want cheaper. So that's creation of the facility. But what is the understanding and what's the knowledge? The story goes like if you allow me to speak in Hindi, एक बार 5 पंडित थे। पंडित का मतलब नॉलेजेबल पीपल, ज्ञानी पंडित थे। वो उनके पास बहुत विद्या थी, उनके पास had lot of knowledge and lot of skills were there, and they were moving out. They accompanied by one illiterate cook. एक उनके पास एक उनका रसोइया था जो बिल्कुल अनपढ़ था. So they were moving around, they were wandering in the jungle, they were enjoying the scene, and they found that there was a skeleton. And one pandit, one knowledgeable wise person said that, okay, I have the knowledge, I can create something from this skeleton. तो उसने वो सारे skeleton को दोबारा से पूरा जोड़ दिया, एक पूरा बड़ा उसका पिंजर बना दिया. The second पंडित said that, okay, मेरे पास और भी विद्या है, मैं अपनी विद्या से इस skeleton के ऊपर जो उसकी मांसपेशी है मैं वो भी बना दूंगा. तीसरे ने कहा, अच्छा, इस skeleton के तुमने मांसपेशी बना दी है, तो मैं इसके अंदर जो है वो रक्त वक्त भी भर दूंगा. I will just keep on filling the blood also in it. And the fourth one said, what to sake of blood, I will put a proper skin over it, and I will put the sensory organs and everything. I can reconstruct everything from that. उसमें वो पूरा जीव जंतु जो था वो पूरे का पूरा बना दिया. And before the fifth one could say anything, जो उसका illiterate अनपढ़ रसोइया था, उसने कहा, भैया रुक जाओ, एक मिनट रुक जाओ, आप कुछ मत करना, मेरे को मालूम है आप कुछ मत करना, कह के वो सीधा पेड़ के ऊपर चढ़ गया. और ये बड़े पंडित चकित हुए, मूर्ख आदमी क्या है, पेड़ के ऊपर चढ़ गया, हमारी विद्या का तो देख, हमारी विद्या, हम क्या क्या बड़े बड़े काम कर रहे हैं. फाइनल वन सेड दैट आई कैन एक्चुअली ब्रीथ लाइफ इनटू दिस जंतु, तो इसको मैं दोबारा से इसको जान दे सकता हूँ. एक ने उसका बनाया था, पूरा स्केलेटन बनाया था, एक ने उसके बीच में मांसपेशी बना दिया था, एक ने उसमें रक्त डाल दिया था, एक ने उसके ऊपर स्किन एंड कवर डाल दिया था. फाइनली फिफ्थ पंडित सेड, the fifth intellectual or the fifth scholar or whatsoever you can, fifth knowledgeable person said कि मैं इसमें अब जान डाल दूंगा, मैं इसको दोबारा से जिंदा कर दूंगा. और जैसे उसने वो जीव को जिंदा किया, वो जीव was nothing but a tiger, and everyone was so busy exhibiting his knowledge, was so busy practicing his skills कि उनको इस चीज का तो ख्याल ही रहा. जो एक वो illiterate रसोइया था, कुक था, वो तो पहले ही डर के मारे पेड़ के ऊपर चढ़ गया. वो जो टाइगर जिंदा हुआ और उसने जोर से पहले एक उबासी ली, दहाड़ा और देखा कि वो ये 5 गोल मटोल पंडित हैं, why not have a good breakfast of these 5 पंडित्स on. उन 5 पंडितों को वो मार के वो खा गया. जब खा के चला गया और लोगों ने देखा कि ये बाद में ही नीचे सब आधे खाए हुए पंडित पड़े हैं और रसोइया ऊपर चढ़ा हुआ है, वो डरते डरते नीचे आया, तो सबने पूछा रसोइये से, कुक से, कि भाई क्या हुआ, ये क्या हुआ, ये ऐसे, ये 5 तुम्हारे बाकी के पंडित जो हैं ये कैसे मर गए, ये क्या ऐसे कैसे हो गया, तू कैसे बच गया. तो उसने जो कहा वो ये था, विद्या से बड़ी समझ है. दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू टेल यू. नॉलेज से बड़ी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, विद्या से बड़ी समझ है. समझ से विद्या सीखो भाई, ना समझ पंडितों ने सिंह रचा पर जान गवाई. So this is my final word to you all, कि do impart knowledge, but along with it we have to impart the right kind of understanding. ना समझ पंडितों ने, हम ना समझ पंडितों की तरह ना कुछ काम करते चले. विद्या से बड़ी समझ है, समझ से विद्या सीखो भाई, ना समझ पंडितों ने सिंह रचा पर जान गवाई. हम भी कहीं ऐसे पंडित ना बन जाएं। हमारे से तो वो अनपढ़ सोया कुक बेटर है, जो जिसके पास इतनी विजडम थी, उसके पास ये राइट काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग थी कि जिस तरीके की फैसिलिटीज हम क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, जो भी आपके फार्मेसी में तो कुछ शायद ज्यादा ही एप्लीकेबल होगा इस चीज के लिए, इस तरीके की दवाइयां बना रहे हैं हम, उसका अल्टीमेटली इफेक्ट क्या होने वाला है, उसके ऊपर एक काइंड ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी जरूर होनी चाहिए। आई थिंक द काउंटडाउन हैज बिगन and this is my goodbye to you. I end my session, and in case you have any words to say about me, I'm ready for the answers.
Thank you, sir. The most exciting phrase is not you, but kuch ajeeb sa ho raha hai. Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Mandeep Singh, sir. Thank you, everyone, for being part of concluding session of slot 4, last slot of AICTE-sponsored STTP on outcome-based pedagogical methods for effective teaching, learning, and accreditation. Thank you, one and all. Dear participants, we will conclude the STTP, the part 4 of STTPE. Dear friends, AICTE-sponsored short-term training program on outcome-based pedagogical methods for effective teaching, learning, and accreditation at Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Wardha, was conducted in 4 phases. Phase 1 was from 5th of November to 10th of November. During this, 10 virtual sessions were conducted. Giant academicians from pharmacy and engineering, they graced the occasion. Chief guest of inaugural function was Dr. Rajendra Kakade sir, Advisor 1 of AICTE, New Delhi. The first virtual session was conducted by Dr. V.K. Maurya sir. Day 2 saw Dr. Sadhna Shahi sir, Associate Professor, Government College of Pharmacy, Aurangabad, followed by a talk of Dr. Vivek Nanauti sir, Principal, Priyadarshini Institute of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. Day 3 saw a talk by Dr. Shailesh Vadher, Professor, School of Pharmacy, Nanded, followed by a talk by Dr. Bhushan Kumar Sathe sir on NBA process. Day 4 was graced by Dr. Prashant Argade sir of Government Polytechnic Department of Pharmacy, Jalgaon, followed by a talk by Dr. Prashant Puranik sir of UDPS, Nagpur. Day 5 was managed by 2 academicians, Dr. R.J. Dias and Dr. Pradeep Tekade. On the last day, Dr. Vivek Kapoor sir, Director G.H. Raisoni Academy, Nagpur, was the resource person. Total 110 participants across India were registered for this slot. Second slot was from 23rd to 28th November 2020. The slot started with a talk by Dr. Mahesh Burande sir, followed by a talk by Dr. Prantik Banerjee sir. There were 2 sessions by Dr. Anwar Sheikh sir, followed by next day saw a talk by Dr. Ujjwala Sadafare madam. Then there was a talk by Dr. Abhijit Yaule, followed by Dr. Prashant Maheshwari of JDCOEM Nagpur. Then there was a talk by Dr. K. Joshi Hanumanthachar, followed by a talk by Dr. Saeed Ahmed of Jamia Hamdard, and the last day saw a talk by Dr. Alok Jain. Slot 3 was from 7th to 12th December 2020. Slot 3 was inaugurated by Dr. N.K. Jain, a giant academician, followed by Dr. Sanjay Jachak sir of IPER. Second day saw a talk by Dr. Vitthal S. Bandal from Government Polytechnic, Pune, followed by a talk by Dr. Raghu Rama Rao, followed by a talk by B.N. Sina of BIT Mesra and Dr. Vandana Patel ma'am. The next day saw a talk by the Iron Kudos team of Professor Yogesh Mahadevia and Mr. Mohammad Kaleem. Then the 5th day was graced by Dr. Nazmai Namdar and Dr. Rekha Sharma, and last day talk by Dr. Sachin Digre sir. And the last slot, correct, that we are concluding today was started on 21st of December. On day 1, Dr. Sushma Kulkarni of Rajaram Bapu Institute of Technology was our resource person. Second day, Dr. B.S. Pabla. Next day saw Dr. Sanjeev Sofar. The fourth day was graced by two giant academicians, Dr. Samit Bhattacharya of IIT Guwahati, followed by Dr. Jainendra Jain of Ramesh Institute of Vocational and Technical Education, Noida. The next, Dr. Atul Kumar NASA, and today is our last day, that's graced by Dr. Mandeep Singh Sir of Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala. For the first slot, 110 participants were there. For the second slot, 80 participants were registered and attended. The third slot also, 80 participants were registered and attended. And the last slot also, 80 participants were registered and attended. So totally we conducted 37 sessions in the 4 phases, and more than 400 participants across India were benefited. Dear friends, now I request some of the participants who wish to express their views on this STTP. Correct? I request Dr. Dinesh Kawade sir of Jail Chaturvedi College of Pharmacy, Nagpur, to say few things on the about the STTP. Dr. Dinesh Kawade sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you very much, respected Puranik ma'am. I first of all thanks to the IPER Vardha for organizing a very important AICT sponsored short-term training program on outcome-based pedagogical methods for effective teaching, learning and accreditation. The theme was very excellent and very useful to all the participants for acquiring their knowledge and updating their self. All the sessions I have attended. In that, today's session was very outstanding and the different one, which is delivered by the Mandeep Singh sir on the topic creativity and reflections in the teaching learning processes. Sir has nicely delivered and simplified the words, that is the creativity, innovations, and the what are the difference between creativity and innovations nicely. I hope all the participants and are enjoying the sessions and acquiring the knowledge from this short-term training program. And we congratulate the organizing the team IPER Vardha, and the thankful to Principal Sir Dr. Ganjwale Sir for assigning the such STTP, and we wish all the best.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Sachin More of DBCOP Besa to say few words. Sachin More, sir, of DBCOP Besa.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. Myself, Sachin More, Assistant Professor, Dadasaheb Balpande College of Pharmacy, Nagpur. As we all know, accreditation is a need for today's quality education, and outcome-based learning is a key for accreditation. And it's really difficult for all of us to understand the accreditation manual because all have the personal perceptions related to the statement given in the accreditation process, accreditation manual. And it's really helpful for all of us to understand the concepts of accreditation manual through the experts like Kulkarni ma'am, Sofat sir, Pabla sir, Bhattacharya sir, Jain sir, NASA sir, and at the end, Mandeep Singh sir. So I would really get appreciated with the knowledge shared by all the expertise. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the principal, Dr. Ganjiwale sir, for organizing team of this STTP, for organizing such a nice and well coordinated STTP on a virtual platform and giving me an opportunity to be the part of this STTP. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sachin More, sir. I call Sachin Mendi sir of DBCOP Besa to say few words. Sachin Mendi sir.
Yes. First of all, good afternoon, one and all, and respected Rani Madam and Principal Ganjiwale sir, and congratulations team IPER Vardha. So, as a concluding session, first of all, thanks thank you all the IPER team and congratulate. Just I want to say a few things that is related to the outcome-based education. So, as the current scenario, we learn so many things about the NBA accreditation that will definitely helpful for us or as a teacher. Every teacher should need to be changed as a we gone to forward. So once again, thank you and well organized program. And again, one thing is be carry out this kind of the program in the future as well. And at the last, I will put one Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam words. So education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So be changing scenario in a regular basis. And thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Sachin Mehndi, sir. Now I request Dr. Rajendra Ganjiwale, sir, Principal IPER, to give the concluding remarks. Dr. Rajendra Ganjiwale, sir, Principal IPER, to give concluding remarks.
Hello, am I audible to all of you? Okay. So good afternoon to one and all. Now here we are at the end of this STTP. So today is the fourth slot of the STTP. It is going to be concluded. Actually, this STTP, it was started from 31st October and it is ending on the 17th of the 26th of the December. Okay. Now, in almost all the slot, we have tried to invite almost all the resources who are having the very specific specialization, particularly to that of the pedagogy and the accreditation. And almost all the resources, they have delivered a very nice talk and a presentation based on this topic of the STTP, that is outcome-based pedagogical methods for effective teaching, learning, and the accreditation. Majority of the resources, they have delivered the talk on the accreditation because this topic, it's a need-oriented topic. And as it is need-oriented, that is why we have selected this particular theme for the present STTP. Definitely, whatever the experts' knowledge they have given to you, definitely it is useful for you if you are going for the accreditation. And whatever the hints and the clues which they are mentioned in their presentation, definitely all those clues and the hints you have to follow if you are going to process for that of the accreditation. So many slots I have attended because it was not possible for me to attend all the presentation as I was occupied with some other administrative assignments. But still, I remember the name of some specific resources, particularly one of my friend, Dr. Sanjay Jachak, is from the IPER Chandigarh. The topic, it was based on the pedagogy and accreditation. But he also talked on the present scenario of the pharmacy education. He highlighted and throw the light on the present scenario in the pharmacy education. Very specifically, I want to tell you, it was on the mushrooming growth of the pharmacy institution. I agree with that. Because of the this mushrooming growth of the pharmaceutical industries or pharma institution, now day by day, there is a question mark on the scope of the subject or the scope of this profession. As rightly pointed out by Dr. Sanjay Jachak, if you go to the industry, what type of the treatments that the industry people, they are giving to that of the pharma graduates, because they are treating simply as a servant. And what salary they are offering to the pharma graduates, that is also not satisfactory. And this is happening only because of the mushrooming growth of the institution. I am not criticizing the issue. I am not against the pharmacy institution, or I am not against the mushrooming growth of the pharmacy institution. But I want to just tell you that if they are maintaining the meritorious academic standard and really they are imparting the proper education to the students, then I don't have. But it's a very unfortunate part that you also know, everybody know, that there are some institutions, academic institutions in the pharmacy field, even they don't have the sufficient faculty to run the institute, even they don't have the sufficient facilities to run the institute, but still the institutes are running. This is very unfortunate part for all of us. As rightly pointed out by Sanjay Jachak sir, nowadays in pharma industries, these people are preferring the other science graduates instead of pharmacy graduates, because they know that pharma graduates, they will not be easily agree to work on the less salary as compared. But in contrary to this, other graduates like BSc and other pupils of the non-pharma, they get easily ready to work on the less salary, and that is why these pharma industries, they are preferring the other graduates. And this is really again one more thing, that's a very unfortunate part. This should not happen. I think in this particular situation, our technocrats and the various other pharma organizations like the IPA is there, like APTI is there, they should take some initiative to handle such type of the issue. Because this IPA and this APTI are the such platform, it was only meant for the upgradation of the profession. It is only meant for the upgradation of the faculties. And if such type of the unwanted, undesirable things are happening in the profession, it is at this moment, it is the duty of all those pharma organizations, either APA or APTI, they should work out this, and accordingly they should take some steps so that such type of the practices will be stopped in the profession. And then only there will be a real upgradation of the pharma profession, and there will be a real upgradation of that of the pharma industry. So in the case of academic institution also, I have seen personally, most of them pharmacy institution, they are spending the huge amount only on the infrastructure. They are ignoring the academic sector. I mean, they are ignoring the academic part. Even they are not maintaining the proper facilities that is required for the research and development purpose. Even they are not paying regular salary to the faculties. They are paying 80% of the amount what they gain. It is on the infrastructure, because ultimately infrastructure, it is their own property. At any moment, they can sold it or they can do it anything, because that is their own property. So it is my sincere suggestion to IPA as well as the APTI to work out on this particular factor, and accordingly you take the steps so that majority of the funds of the academic institution, it will be spent on the salary of the faculties, as well as it will be spent on that of the research and the development activities instead of spending on the infrastructures and other development. No doubt infrastructure is also required, but most of the institutions, they are spending the majority of the funds on the infrastructure. So even it is my common appeal to all the members of the other statutory organizations like that of the Pharmacy Council of India, they should also take the cognizance of such type of the current issues, burning issues, and accordingly you try to resolve such type of the very sensitive issue. Anyway, we are at the end of the fourth slot. It was started from 21st of December to today is the last day, that is the 26th December. Okay. Now, on the very first day of this slot, that is on third slot, fourth slot, sorry. Dr. Sushma Kulkarni madam was there as a resource person. I am very much thankful to Dr. Sushma Kulkarni madam. Then Dr. Sanjay Sofat as a resource person. Thank you, Dr. Sofat sir. Then Dr. B.S. Pavla. I am also thankful to Dr. Pavla sir. Then Dr. Samit Bhattacharya, who is working as Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Guwahati. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya, sir, for delivering us nice talk in the virtual session of this STTP. I am also thankful to Dr. Janendra Jain, sir, is the Principal and the Professor, Ramis Institute of Vocational and Technical Institution, Uttar Pradesh. I am also thankful to the Dr. Atul Kumar Nasa. He is associated with the Head of the Office and Controlling and the Licensing Authority, Deputy Drug Controller, Government of NCT of Delhi, Drug Controller Department, New Delhi. Now, I am also thankful to all the last resource person, respected Dr. Mandip Singh, sir, is working as a professor, Thapar Institute of Engineering and the Technology, Patiala. Like this, almost all the resources having their own reputation and expertise in the field of education and accreditation also, they have delivered a nice talk, and I'm very much confident about whatever the skill and the knowledge that they have shared with you. It will be very important for you, and definitely it will be used. You will have to use this skill and knowledge in your institute if you are going for the accreditation. And whatever the tools that you have learned through this particular STTP, it is to be actually practically used. It should not remain only with the you. It is to be practically used in your institution, and see, definitely you will get the benefit of this. So at the last, I express my deep sense of gratitude towards the AICT office bearers, especially Dr. Venkat sir. He is the director of the FDP, Faculty Development Cell, AICT. And I'm also thankful to all other office bearers of the All India Council of Technical Education. I'm also thankful to all resources who have accepted our invitation, and they have spent their valuable time for the STTP. I'm also thankful to all the participants for their patient learning and hearing the entire STTP. And I'm also thankful to my management of IPER, Dr. Gandhi sir, who is the chairman of the Vidarbha Youth Welfare Society, Amravati. I'm also thankful to Honorable Sri Yuvraj Chaudhary Sahib, who is the secretary of our IPER Varda. I'm also thankful to Dr. Hemant Rao Deshmukh sir, who is the treasurer of our institute. And I'm also thankful to Advocate Udayji Deshmukh sir, Vice President of IPER Varda. At the last but not the least, I am thankful to my entire team of the IPER, especially the convener of the program, Dr. Manisha Puranik. She really took a very work hard and put under efforts for the successful organization of this program. I am also thankful to all my technical experts, Dr. Abhiram Deshmukh, Mr. S.B. Devani, Mr. Jyotiranjan Rao, Sadhana Gautam, and all other who were directly or indirectly associated and involved in the successful organization of this particular program. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Dear friends, I'm grateful to all the resource persons who accepted our invitation and graced the occasion. I'm grateful to All India Council of Technical Education, New Delhi, for financial assistance. I'm grateful to my management. I'm thankful to my principal. I'm thankful to my colleagues for their excellent support. And I'm thankful to my colleague team of Sunil Devani sir, Abhiram Deshmukh sir, Jyotiranjan Rao sir, and Milind Bhoyer sir for their continuous support and assistance. They have large share in making this event a successful one. Finally, you dear friends in supporting us. Friends, always remember, we are a powerhouse of strength, innovation and creativity. We will push boundaries to make this world a better place to live. Always remember where you came from and always remember where you are going. Goodbye and good luck. Wish you all a very happy and safe 2021. Goodbye, friends.